Time out, stop, okay? That's not how it's supposed to work.
You notice, we're a little more tanner than the majority of those people in that area. So
You just to get the job? What about the passion? What about the meaning, the purpose behind doing these events? He dipped.
And he dipped.
Holy.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, thank you.
And oh my God, I hope I don't get in trouble.
All right. We're in this one. I'm excited for this one. I was like, this is the one I wanted to start with, but because of our insane, hectic schedules, it took us like 2 weeks to get in here.
2 weeks too long.
Way too long. Bring it a little closer to you, the mic. Yeah. Let him hear you, baby.
You want to hear me.
I want to hear you. They want to hear you. Your voice is way too angelic for it to be low. So guys, I'm incredibly honored on this one podcast because not only is this dude my business partner, he's also one of my mentors, if not the main mentor in my life. He's a colleague of mine. He's a friend, but most importantly, he's like my big brother. And he is the owner of Alive Events. He's been performing events for about 25 years. And he's established himself as a Master of Ceremonies, servicing areas all around the world that some entertainers dream of. Just to name a few are obviously New York and New Jersey, to LA, to Florida, all over the Caribbean, overseas, and all around the world. He's a certified wedding entertainment director since 2015, coming on 10 years. And he's performed alongside artists that we listen to every day, such as Pitbull, Christina Aguilera, Jennifer Lopez, 50 Cent, Flo Rida, Drake, and that's just to name a few. I'm incredibly honored to be here with you. I'm talking about the one, the only, Aldo Ryan.
It's so awesome to be here. I can't believe that we're finally getting this.
Finally. So
done. And thank you so much for the kind words.
Oh, dude. I mean,
I'm excited.
Well, my praise goes with admiration because we've known each other now approaching just over like 10 or 11 years. We've known each other for that long. And at that time, I was still not freelancing, but committing to other companies. And you were at this stage where you were still hustling and bustling in the point where you're like, okay, I'm knocking out, I think you were doing yourself like 160, 170 events a year personally. Yeah. Personally, not the company.
No, personally 175.
Yeah, and I think you were doing it at the point where you were like, okay, I'm approaching the point where I need help. And you started to do the recruitment because you were still in Brooklyn. You were still on Avenue X.
Coney Island Avenue.
Right.
Between Y and Z.
Y and Z, yeah. And then I remember, obviously we met because of Joey, who will be on the podcast. You know,
Joey D.
My best friend,
yeah.
Your primary DJ since he was 17 or 18. And that's how we kind of got together. And you were in that stage in your career where you decided to make a decision on making that transition to up your level, up your game a little bit. Yeah. And you needed people around you that you really thought could allow you to transcend while keeping the business afloat. Am I out of pocket here?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Wanted to just move it up, move it on. I wanted to expand. I wanted to grow wide. I wanted to delegate more responsibility. I wanted a team. I wanted a family, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to just be a one-man band.
Yeah. And that was actually something I think that actually gravitated to you and me when you reapproached me 6 years ago.
I approached you a lot of times.
Yeah, you did. I mean, well, okay. So it was also full transparency. I'm from Staten Island, so obviously going to Brooklyn was not necessarily my way of getting more work because I thought at that time was going to be more difficult. Jersey seemed a little bit easier for me in that transition. And I remember, I was working for a local DJ company, which you were also affiliated with earlier in your career. And then I was pretty much running their office. And then I was getting stale. It was getting stale for me. And I remember I was like, I need something to expand a little bit. And then I got together with a company in New Jersey, and they pretty much offered me a position that you essentially wanted me to do. Yeah. Is just they beat you to the punch by, I think it was like 4 months. Man. It was like literally within a 6 month time span, somewhere within there.
Timing is everything.
It is. Yeah. It really is. And I remember like, okay, Joey's tied with him. I know he's good people, but I have to at least give these people an opportunity first. If so facto, you grew, your brand started really transcending, specifically in the, I guess, Western European, Russian American, Ukrainian, Persian, like some very ethnic events.
Eastern European.
Yeah, Eastern European. I apologize. Eastern European, which is very different from the overall, I guess, the overall ethnicity of most New Jersey parties.
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey parties. And you kind of planted your roots in there and created this tree of life, if you will, that literally just dominated that section of the market. So you went from the everyday, typical Irish, Italian, Germanic, European, Italian, like New York parties to that. And it was like, my first question was, I guess, why? Like, what was the driving factor into that of why you wanted to switch in that role? Was it a necessity or was it by choice? Like, why go into that realm?
That's a great question. It was by choice because I realized that the standard American market was just saturated with DJs. I can't remember who came up with this analogy, but it was basically like events would come in, parties would be, these people would be looking for DJs and stuff. And if you think about a flock of seagulls trying to fight over a bag of potato chips at the beach in a garbage can, that's exactly how I saw this DJ industry becoming. Everybody was looking to just jump at the same exact party, and it was just, everyone was just chopping down their numbers, cutting down their numbers constantly, left and right, just to get the job. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Wait a minute, you just to get the job? What about the passion? What about the meaning, the purpose behind doing these events? Isn't it to make people happy? And if that's the case, then why are you devaluing yourself and your profession and your skill and your talent and everything else that you're made of? Like, you have purpose in this world. Why do it? Why are you just jumping into that cesspool and just to get the job, just to do it for less? And then it's just like every other job was a number. So to answer your question, there were other communities of people, demographics, people that, they're very concentrated and everyone knows each other and they kind of work within their own circles. And between the Syrian and the Persian and the Russian American, Ukrainian American communities, I felt that they could have used something a little bit different than they're used to.
And let's put it as is, okay? I don't know if you noticed, we're a little more tanner than the majority of those people in that area. So let's call so we do make that joke, but it really is true that we are probably, if not the only American-based company that is penetrated and for the most part dominated that space.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where when you approached me about it, full transparency, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is like the direction I want to go in, primarily because I know nothing about these people. I knew nothing about their background, their culture, the language, the music. I knew nothing. So the only thing that I went by was the word of Joey saying that you were like moving at a pace that if you didn't catch it, it was going to be gone. And I remember you and Nail got me on the phone and you were like, dude, we need you. And then you were like, okay, give it a couple days to think about it. I kid you not, guys. I think it was like 6 days later. It was the ultimatum of make a choice right now. It was all on the phone. He was like, are you in or are you out? And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like, screw it. I'm in. And it was like, it was really the thing that broke my mental capacity of what is possible in our industry. Because I think it's almost poisonous, the mentality that most entertainers have in totality, that there's a statute of limitation of how they can perform, how much they can earn, what they can potentially do, and the status that comes with that. If you learn to finally break through that ceiling that is made up, it's fictional, it's not real. So the only thing is that you do have to change your mentality of that, which also is what you always told me is like, there was that time around like 2014 when that light bulb hit, and you went into learning to becoming more of a wedding director, like you're training in that ways with the Marbella workshops and everything else. So what is a wedding entertainment director? Why'd you go that direction in changing your mental capacity of like what you could do as a performer? Like, why go that direction?
I think that, especially in the live events industry, as you're a performer and you have some sort of a talent, if you're a public figure, you're out there, you're in front of crowds of people, whether it be an intimate 50-person party or wedding, or you're in front of thousands of people in Times Square, Rockefeller Center. I think it's important for you to have a name, label, and a title. Mm-hmm. I think it's important that, because you could just be some guy on a microphone making announcements or introductions and stuff and saying the same old thing and just being insincere and you just got to get the job done. Mm. But for you to actually take this seriously, I think there's something behind it. I think there's a major value behind it. And then there's notoriety that follows from echelons of people, professionals who are like, this is this guy with this title. This is this guy who's has achievements, in the industry, and it separates you from everything else that's out there.
It's status. It's status.
It is status. It's a status. And I got to tell you something, I'm going to be super honest. This is what this, I guess, in a lot of this is open book, right?
Well, that's the idea. The idea is for, we created this podcast to not leave any secrets out, is to actually inform, educate, and entertain clients, also as industry professionals. What you guys learn from us is literally off the cuff. We don't script any of this stuff. Yeah, there are prepared questions for good reason, because trust me, him and I can go 4 hours of talking about nothing. I swear our wives have actually yelled at us because of that.
I just felt that, just to answer your question, I never really finished anything in my life, okay? As a person, I'm a procrastinator, I'm late. It's just the way I am. I mean, I'm not perfect. But I call myself out on my own bullshit because I call everybody else out on their bullshit. Yeah. So it'd be ridiculous. I'd be remiss if I didn't call myself out on bullshit. One of the things that I just never finished is college. I'm 4 credits away from my freaking degree. And even I say, how stupid can you be? But that's just the path I took. When it came to the entertainment industry, I just felt like I wanted to be accomplished. I wanted to be able to show something. I wanted to be able to have a plaque or a certificate or something on my wall that said, I am a certified professional in something. That's it.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you that you're one of the very few people that have more of a natural gift, because even seeing videos of you back in the day and hearing about you through Eric and other guys we've worked with together, there was a natural energy and talent that came from you. And I think a lot of people understand that the difference between talent and skill is that talent is usually something you're born with. It's something that is naturally given. Skill is something you work on and you perfect. And that's why I always tell people that this industry, you could teach a skill. Talent is something that if you have both of them, you could be extraordinary. There are industry professionals out there, not just wedding, but DJs that are talented but skillful. In my field, in the DJ, you have the guys we grew up listening to, like Jazzy Jeff, AM, like these guys transcended our industry. And I think that you have made it almost like a personal goal to take what you do as a Master of Ceremonies, which we're going to talk about also, because you only do that, and you wanted to make that a level that everybody who sees you goes, oh, I want to be that guy. I want to be like him. And there are guys who have worked with us who have said that to both of us. Yeah. They're like, oh, I saw Al in Jamaica doing a destination wedding. And I was like, that's the type of event I want to do. Like, that's the dude I want to be like. Yeah. So it was really just all about you, like, getting that status of accomplishing, okay, I finally did something that's worth something, and now I could take that and prove it to the world. That's basically what you're telling me.
That's 100% right, yeah. I think it's important to have status, because I always, like, from every job that I've ever had, when I was either the supervisor or the manager or the partner or the owner and stuff, I always tell my team, you got to do things to shine through. Yeah. I'll never forget this guy, Howie, when I used to work at yeshivas in Brooklyn. He was, I was in charge of the maintenance staff, the engineers, the housekeeping, the security. And this one guy would always remember, he's like, shine through. And he would always do something to go above and beyond so that in the midst of everyone else doing their job, he was always going the extra mile and he would always shine through. And, you know, that energy and that information was recycled back to me, and it shows that even if it attaches to one person, you've made a difference.
Right.
In their life, in their future, and amongst their peers, because now what they've done was they've leveled the game, or they've upped the game, I should say. You know what I mean?
The bar is set higher.
Correct.
Expectations are set higher. And I've been talking about this in the last couple of podcasts, that our industry, the bar is so low, not only for entry, but also for expectations, that, let's call it what it is. Your average ticket price is somewhere between $15,000 now to like $40,000.
Yeah.
And these are legitimate numbers, folks. We're not gaslighting you. We're not making these numbers up. We have physical proof. And believe me, I've been very lucky to be part of these events. But when you look at the overall concept of what people believe a wedding entertainer should do, they still revert back to a $700 DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Or sometimes even worse. And then we now have to justify, to some degree, why that price is what it is. And even though we've always been taught, like, never justify your numbers, I attribute that to the bar set so low for everybody else that the only way we could actually justify that price is to set the bar higher and find a way to get other people to lift themselves to that bar, or at least close enough where the industry standard is now higher because of it.
Yep.
Right. So I believe one of the mistakes that industry professionals make, but also brides and grooms make, are understanding that bar to be here when it should be here, or the expectations for brides and grooms should be here, but they're setting it here.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where, like, a DJ could be here, the expectations for a couple is here, and then on the opposite side, the bride and groom aren't spending this because the DJ is thinking like this. And I want to talk to you and find out what you think a huge mistake most couples are making, not necessarily on price, but decision-making on their weddings. Like, is there one thing that constantly keeps reverting back to you? Like, there's that one mistake they keep making or you keep witnessing. What is that? What's that common mistake most couples are making when they're planning their event?
They're not prioritizing their budget. You know, they're not allocating their budget towards things that matter. They're not, you know, a couple of other podcasts that you and Patrick did, which I really loved, by the way. And I'm not saying that because you're my boys and stuff. It's, you know, I get disinterested very quickly. It's my ADHD.
I always say he has the attention span of a bird. It's because he doesn't mean it. It's just, I'm very much the same way. The only difference is, like, when I'm focused on something, I make sure he's still focused with me. Because then if a phone call comes and he thinks it's a client, concentration is gone. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's just prioritize.
That was an example.
Yeah. Prioritizing your budget. People don't realize, they think that just because they've been to other weddings or they've seen other weddings or they've Googled other weddings and events or bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, sweet 16s, corporate events, you know, we have to do this. No, you don't. Absolutely not. Because did you like the results of what they did or what happened? You know, what's the most important thing? People sometimes forget that in the midst of planning and preparing for their big day. Fun is the number one thing that clients come to us for. Couples, clients, families. That's what they want. So why are you spending all this money on things that just don't matter?
Yeah.
You know, flowers are going to look fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love flowers. They look beautiful. They smell beautiful. I love Mother Nature, and I love what it does to this earth. We have to we beautify the earth, beautify your parties, beautify your events. But at the end of the day, people are not talking about those flowers. You know, they're talking about their experience. Maya Angelou, please don't kill me if I misquote this, but it's, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That just resonates with me. And it's so powerful, because if you don't allocate your budget more towards the things that matter, the experience, how you made them feel, then why did you bother inviting 150, 200, 350? Why?
You make a good point, because I always have been saying repeatedly to my couples the last couple of years, primarily because my mentality switched. Because I think the misconception of a wedding is that the bride and groom know everything about their wedding for everybody in attendance, and that's not true. Majority of the time, brides and grooms only know what they like, and they believe that the people in attendance are going to like what they like. And that's where you get a lot of the power struggle issues. And the mistake that I think most couples are making is you're making decisions with falsified information, whether it's based on you think the people in attendance are going to enjoy what you enjoy, which is one thing, or you're finding out trends that you find funny or you find interesting or you find exciting that are most likely going to flop at your wedding or any event that you're talking about. And I think that that's the mistake that we make. So that does tie into the budget thing that you're talking about, because if I'm going to spend an absorbent amount of money on things that are trending, that trend could be non-trending by the time your wedding approaches.
That's true.
And then you're making a deposit on, let's say, roughly $10,000 on something that you think is going to be popular then it becomes a complete waste of money.
Absolutely.
So I always tell people that when you're going into wedding planning, go into it with the expectation of the whole day you guys are going to enjoy it because it's your day regardless. What are your friends and family going to say about your wedding when they leave it? And if you don't have a clear and concise message to that, you have no idea what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Period. If you can't summarize what you want your guests to say at the end of your wedding, and I mean like really say about your wedding, then you didn't really dedicate interest to your guests.
Yeah.
It's about what you want.
Yeah.
It's not always about what you want. You gotta share, kids. Sharing is caring. Remember in third grade when somebody hit you with a block because you wouldn't freaking share it? Same thing. It's the same thing, dude. Same thing.
Now we hit you with microphones.
Dude, I almost did once. Especially remember that one wedding we did where at the end of the wedding, we were going to Vegas the next day. It was in Long Island. And it was, I forget, was it Jonathan and Sarah's wedding? I forget. I think it was, but it was in Long Island. You, Nahal, Joey, and I were going to Vegas for Mobile Beat.
Got it.
I know you remember.
Yes, now I do.
I thought you were going to kill the kid. So at the very end of the night, one of the groomsmen, it wasn't the best man, but it was one of the groomsmen, decided at 12:01 when the party ended.
Jonathan, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, I want to say something. And we just crushed the party. We're all very high on like where we're at. And Aldo's like, why not? Let's give him the mic. It's fine.
What could go wrong?
And Al's literally standing next to the guy as he's drunk and disorderly. I think his shirt was untucked, and he was slurring his words already. And I forget what he said, but I just remember this is your face the whole time. And then he just does this. Boom. And I just see, this was his face, right? It was literally the most I'm going to kill you thing. And I love this man. His temperament went from like long fuse to, I'm going to kill you. And I was like, oh no, he's going to. And then I just hear Al go, not cool. Not cool, dude. Not cool, dude. And
you don't drop a mic. Who does that?
Folks, if you're giving a speech, don't drop microphones. Here's why. They cost a lot of money. On average, a microphone, the receiver that you're dropping, can cost anywhere between $300 to, we kid you not, $1,200. And trust me, we're on the $1,200 side. So don't drop mics. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good anymore. You want to drop a mic, we'll give you a dummy mic. We'll give you a fake one.
Yeah.
That's cool. We'll do that. That's fine.
Drop a wired mic or something. Not even that.
Like an unplugged wired mic.
Yeah, an unplugged fake wired mic.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, we should get one of those little inflatable ones as a joke and just be like, drop this one.
That's it.
A pink one, specifically pink.
Pink.
I think pink is the way to go, especially for men.
If you're going to drop a mic, it's got to be pink.
It's got to be pink. What's the best advice you think you can give to couples planning their wedding outside of just budgeting? Like, I think budget is always like the term people talk about for weddings because wedding costs have gone up significantly. And I think we all agree, to some extent, there is a wedding, quote unquote, tax in the industry. Most venues, other vendors will consider higher pricing because it's a wedding. So outside of just budgeting, what other advice would you give to wedding couples planning?
Man, I hate that I have to pull one of yours and Patrick's conversations out, mixed conversations about inviting the right people to your wedding. It was never it was never in the top tier of my list. But after that, I'm telling you right now, it's probably one of the most important things is invite the right people to your wedding. You couldn't be more right about not inviting your parents' coworkers. Holy itchay. That is ridiculous to just, and sometimes more is more, and whatever the case is, you have a packed room means the law of probability is going to kick in. You're going to have a packed dance floor, or at least a majority or more people on the dance floor. But now, man, it really comes down to the quality of the people that are going to be there. People that are ready to really celebrate you, who know you. Because when they know you and you know them, then there's an emotional connection. And that emotional connection can really make or break your party. If you just kind of know them and stuff, you ain't getting up to dance. You're not going to be the first one on, last one off. I mean, I know, because I was a party person. I was that kid up on the dance floor, first one, last one to leave, grabbing the microphone from MCs. I was that kid, and that's people like, you need to do this. Bottom line is, you need to hire. You need to invite people who are legitimately fun. They're just like innately, intrinsically, they're just fun. So
everybody loves the 70-year-old drunk in your family. Bring them to the wedding. It's fantastic. Well, there's that. Well, that's another thing I want to bring up. Power struggles. Power struggles within the family and the planning. Okay. Being a recent groom and knowing what we know, I remember telling Jess that every decision about the wedding is done by us first and told to everybody else later. So my advice is, you can ask people for advice or influence, but not until you make somewhat of a decision of what you're doing. You could ask somebody what they think of this, but you do not ask before you make the decision. Why? I would much rather somebody talk me out of something than talk me into something. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. Because if I was like, oh, Mom, should I invite so-and-so because of whatever reason? And she goes, of course, you have to. She went to your wedding. She did this. She did that. Now I have that, almost like that weight on my shoulders, that if I now decide not to do that, she's pissed. Like, she's like, why did you ask me if, like whatever reason? Like, I now have to go back on the defense. Versus, hey, Mom, here's our guest list. Like, anybody else would be like, well, I haven't seen them in like a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen them in a year. Why should I invite them?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because they grew up with you. I have not heard from that person in a year. They have not reached out to me. They have not seen me. They have not. It's okay to draw the line as a couple, okay? And I can't stress this enough. Do it as a couple. Brides, get your grooms involved. Ask them questions. They want to get involved. They just don't want to make you upset. Like, that's another thing that most grooms won't admit, but as men, we can tell you.
Sure.
We understand it's about your day. We understand you have a vision for what you want. But we have opinions. Use them. Because sometimes those opinions are good ones. Not all the time, but most of the time.
One of the things I used to do was, back in the day, I haven't really done it lately, but I think because of what we're talking about and how it hit at home when you talked about the invitation list. I used to have couples, where they're like, oh, you have to invite this person. And I remember a couple talking about, well, if we invite them, then we have to invite them. And I was like, wait a minute, time out, stop, okay? That's not how it's supposed to work. Take out a piece of paper, fold it into 3, and then write down reason, season, lifetime. And then start putting your guests into those categories. So I think maybe either it was you or Patrick that mentioned, like, if you didn't get a phone call from them, just to say hi or hello, how's it going, or whatever the case is, if you haven't spent more than like 10 minutes or something like that, I'm sorry if I'm misconstruing those
10
numbers.
hours. It was 10 hours.
Something like that.
If you spent less than 10 hours with that person within the last year, they shouldn't be invited to the wedding.
Hello, that is such amazing advice. I don't know where you got that from, but kudos.
Personal experience.
Okay, so then kudos to your personal experience, because that spoke such volumes, even to me being in the industry for so long, and people look to us to give them advice, personal advice and professional suggestions. So thank you. I mean, like seriously, in the last few couples that I spoke with, I was like, stop, hang tight. If you haven't spent a certain amount of time, or if you just haven't gotten together, or whatever the case is, if there are people like, oh, we got to get together, those empty gestures, they're not coming to your wedding. Like, if you haven't gotten together.
They're not. And also, that's another thing we should talk about is expectations of how many people who RSVP are actually going to show. So there's a statistic that is actually proven to be true, folks. 15%, on average, 15% of your guest list can't make it to your wedding.
That's right.
Okay? So if you're having 100 people, 15 of those people aren't going to make it for
whatever reason.
Exactly. There's tons of reasons. Too much travel, can't get a babysitter, can't afford it, have another obligation, got sick, like you name it, there are tons of reasons. Separating yourself from the expectation of people are going to just come to your wedding is another way you're going to be very, very, very happy. The people who matter will be there. The people who don't matter, okay, if they miss it, they miss it. It's not the end of the world, which is why you and I always preach destination weddings. Yeah, we love them.
Inside info, baby.
We love them. Well, you do destinations quite a bit. You were in Costa Rica recently. We've done Aruba together. You've done Jamaica, Cancun. You're going to Israel next year, I think. And then you have a couple of other ones that you've done destinations. Tell me about the destination wedding expectations versus like a local wedding. Like to a bride who's never done it before, what should they come to expect in regards to planning, preparations, and why should they bring out entertainers for that destination wedding?
I've learned this, and oh my God, I hope I don't get in trouble for it.
I can do it. Just go. Just do it, bro.
People don't know what they're doing outside of the United States. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's just I'm listening. We're looking out for the best interest of our client. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our client to make sure that they have the best day ever. But not just the day, but the journey to that day. And so therefore, it's important for us to opine and give suggestion based on our experiences. And I've learned, especially when I go to like Mexico or we were in Colombia, you have to get involved. You have to find out what the heck is going on with their planner or coordinator. If they even get back to you at in a reasonable amount of time, you have to find out what the heck they're doing or what they think they're doing, because there's so many times where my partner Douglas, I think we're going to have him on the podcast as well. Douglas Gennard.
In a couple weeks, actually.
You know, there's so many times, or DJ Legacy, for instance, as well. You know, he's out all the time. I think he's
Legacy. I'm almost sure that Legacy's going to get his citizenship taken away for how many times he's out of the freaking country.
He's out of the country.
That dude's more on a plane than he is in his own bed. Let's be honest.
I thought I traveled a lot. Douglas travels twice as much as me, and then Legacy travels 4 times as much as me. Bottom line is, you know, if we don't get involved, then we're not able to really manufacture or deliver the level and the results that our clients have come to expect from us. So realistically, get involved. Like you have to really understand or know what these other professionals are lining up for your clients in order to achieve the results that they know that they booked you for originally. They most likely saw you performing in the United States. Maybe they saw you at another destination wedding. But if you don't get involved, if you don't help them to make decisions, executive decisions, calculated decisions, then you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're under the jurisdiction of that country and that region. And let me tell you something, it's not a New York or New Jersey wedding. And
you can't save the day within the 3 days that you get there. So a lot of the times that we've also have approached, we've explained to them that we need to be there 2 days prior to the performance date, or at least plan to be there 24 to 48 hours prior to the performance date. Why? Number one is travel reasons. If we end up getting a canceled flight, rescheduled flight, delay, you name it, we still have within 24 hours to get there. That's number one. Number two is also, I'm going to bring up Atlanta. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring up Atlanta.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring up Atlanta.
Here it comes. So, I think enough time has passed.
Yeah, it has. Well, here's the good thing. The story I'm going to tell was unbeknown to the bride and groom. Even with the struggles that you and I had to deal with that day, not only did we get the job done, they were incredibly happy with the result. But I'm going to paint the picture for brides and grooms, because it's important for you to understand, and why I'm telling you this story is the point I'm trying to get across. We have to show up early, because if you don't, we can't put out fires. We cannot help you. As event professionals, our job is to make sure we're catching the things that you don't naturally see. Mm-hmm. You don't know what to look for. We do. So we are looking behind the curtain at the wizard to see if he's really a wizard or if he's, from the Wizard of Oz. So long story short, we had a couple that got married in New Jersey that also resided in Atlanta, Georgia. The reason why they did the New Jersey wedding, if I recall, is that I think it was the groom's side was New York, New Jersey based. The bride's side was actually from Georgia. So they had the immediate family from Georgia come up, but then they wanted to do a bigger tradition down in Georgia. So literally 4 months after the first performance, they were like, would you guys be down to fly down to do another performance in Georgia? Of course, we said, yeah, we're available, but...
With 4 times the amount of people.
With 4 times the amount of people,
400
yes.
people.
Correct.
And no alcohol, by the way.
Yeah. So we said, yeah, we're down. Caveat, here's an asterisk on this. You and I had to perform the night before. So we were contracted together to perform another wedding the night before that. So our typical approach to destination weddings was already going to be askew, because we knew the only way we were going to be able to get down there is if we flew in either a red eye or really early the morning of the wedding. We had done our homework, and we had really put an effort to make sure that we covered all of our tracks, to make sure that when we walked in there, we were good. Plus, Atlanta, unlike going to like Mexico or Costa Rica or even overseas, the flight's not that long. What was it, like an hour and a half, like an hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah, it was easy.
Something like that. So we knew that the travel time wasn't going to be that much of an issue, and we would still have plenty of time to get there to take care of business. We send over our rider. For those of you who don't know what a rider is or understand the terminology, we basically send over a list of equipment needs that we need to perform the way we perform, with specific information about the specs we need for the speakers, the type of controllers that we need to use in order for me to DJ, the microphones you use to MC, literally cables, everything, top to bottom. Sent it over, got it approved, got the rental agreement, got everything ready to go. We're set. Fast forward to the day of the event. We fly in. We get there on time. Our flight landed about 30 minutes early. We got picked up. We headed to the hotel where they were having the wedding. We get there, and we had, if I remember, it was about 3.5 hours, like 3 to 4 hours before the cocktail hour began, if I recall.
Yeah.
And I said to you, all right, let's put our bags to bellhop. Let's go check out the place. Let's check out the room, make sure everything's copacetic. Oh, it wasn't. It was not, folks. It was the opposite. It was the opposite. So literally everything that we had requested was not met. The speakers, we asked, I think it was for 2,200 watt speakers each with a subwoofer and a top. And we love this company because we are sponsored by them. But the speakers that they gave us were not meant for 400-person wedding. Okay, I'll leave you at that. They were usually meant for 75 to 125 people in a smaller room. They gave us those type of speakers for a 400-person event. That was one.
And the room was huge.
The room was huge. It was basically, guys, if you go to a hotel and you go to a conference room where they usually have big like corporate events
That's
that come
exactly
in.
right.
That's what it was in.
That's what it was.
So we're literally like, okay, we have a huge room, small speakers, and we can't project the way we want to. That was problem number one. I looked at him and I go, all right, we could probably get something like from a home, like a Guitar Center or something close. I was like, we'll figure that out. I was like, let me go over to the DJ booth. And that is where my panic hit.
Ooh.
I had specifically asked for a controller that works with my software on my DJ laptop. It's called Serato DJ for those of you who are not Serato DJs. The controller that I had asked for has 2 versions of it. One is specifically for Serato, and the other is for a software called Rekordbox. Okay. I had specifically asked for the Serato version. Oh. It's in the paperwork. I actually had it listed.
It's on the rider.
It was a DJM 1000 SRT by Pioneer. Okay, basically industry standard for weddings. I get over there and I notice something. It does not say SRT, which stands for Serato. It's just the 1000, which is only meant for record box. I don't DJ with a record box. And I remember looking at you and I go, oh, we are so effed. I was like, oh, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, now we have a legitimate problem because the one resource I have in order to DJ, I can't use. And we have about 3 hours before. Meanwhile, when I'm like, okay, my mind's going into, this is why we're such good partners in this. My mind's going to, okay, fix it mode. How do we fix this now? He's up this guy's, you know what, like ripping into him. And this is why he's the best at negotiations and handling this stuff, because I'm like, okay, fix it. As he's doing that,
I'm the bad cop.
Yeah, you're definitely the bad cop. Let's call it what it is. But
You're such a good cop.
I'm such a good cop. I'm
You're like, let's fix this. Let's figure it out. Let's make solutions.
I literally looked at this dude and be like, dude, here's the deal. I'm gonna help you, but you better figure it out like now because he will sue you. I was like, he's ready to like take this away from you entirely. Long story short, I know that was already a long story, but I go to you and I go, dude, we need to go upstairs right now. And he was like, no. I need this. I was like, no, we need to go upstairs because I need to transfer my entire DJ library into a brand new software that I did not know how to use.
And I'm trying to get the guy to get the proper mixer over here stat, because that would just solve the problems instead of you going and having to learn the entire anatomy of a whole different DJ software.
Well, yeah, but I told you at that point, I was like, even if we do that, there's no guarantee he get it in time. So I was already on the basis of like, okay, it is what it is. I have to do this. So let me go upstairs, give me 2 hours, and I'll be able to transfer everything over. Luckily,
Bless you.
Luckily, because I am who I am and doing what I do for so long, I knew certain avenues and softwares and stuff. And I remember I told you about this app, which I preach about now, Lexicon DJ. And they were able to literally take all of my crates and transfer it from Serato to Record Box in a matter of 30 minutes. We were in the hotel room. And I remember your face going,
I couldn't believe it.
you were like, you got it? I was like, I got it. I was like, now I need to go downstairs. Mind you, I was still in sweats. At this point, I didn't even care about how I looked because I needed to make sure it worked. I was like, dude, I'll be back up to change if I have to, but I need to go downstairs and make sure this works. Went downstairs, hooked up to the controller. Sure shit, it worked. And I was like, okay, one crisis averted.
Wait, you forgot one of the most important things. There was no power adapter.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I was using the USB-C and he didn't have the USB-C portion.
What?
And I was like, yo, thank God I DoorDashed it. I was able to get a USB-C adapter. And I was able to get it done, but I was like, dude,
When you got a DoorDash and adapter,
dude,
okay?
That was a nightmare.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to check these people out that you're working with outside of the geographic jurisdiction.
How can they? How can you? If you're doing a destination wedding and you're from where we're from, let's say you're from California and you're getting married in you're Northern California, you're getting married in Cabo, okay? How are you going to know what's happening down there when you can't just do a hop and a skip to get over to your venue? You can't do that. And there's also something called Island Time.
Oh.
Island Time's our favorite because you need 5 emails to get maybe one back in a matter of 5 weeks. Like, it's bad. Like, they don't respond well. It's not in their nature to respond quickly. So, which is why when you work with external vendors like us who, on your behalf, will badger them. And when I say badger, we do it professionally, but I will send an email every morning until you answer me. Yeah. So when you got 27 emails from us and you don't respond, then we get the bride and groom on the phone and we call our vendors. So we also threaten the idea of like, we'll bring in our own people if you don't answer us. And we win. We get it all the time.
And we will get them.
We will get them. Which also brings me to a statistic, which is crazy to you. Al, if you were to take a guess without doing research, how much do you think a New York or New Jersey tri-state area wedding overall would cost? Take a guess.
Overall?
Yeah.
My statistics, I knew the statistics a while ago. I'm going we have to up that now. So let's say it's about $60,000-$70,000.
Okay, $60,000 or $70,000.
Yeah.
That's probably based off what, like 2019, 2021?
Yeah, that's
Somewhere around
correct.
there?
Yep.
Okay. All right, folks, it's more now. Okay, we actually have metrics that we could prove to you through our site, but this is why we do this podcast. I'm going to call them out what they are. The Knot and Wedding Wire, Wedding Pro, I think they were bought out as a unified company now, made a report from 2023 statistics. And I'm looking at it right here, and I'm actually going to put the link in our bio so you guys can check this out. But it literally says right here, the average cost for a hometown wedding is $33,000. Okay. The average cost for a domestic destination wedding, meaning within the United States, is $43,000. Okay. And then the average cost for an international destination wedding is approximately $42,000. What I find hysterical is that from our experiences, unless they are going completely, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall, most destination events don't cost that much with our clients. I was going to do a destination event, and my wife and I were prepared to spend $24,000 with virtually everything included, including flying down our entertainers and vendors that we wanted. 24 grand. Okay? They're telling me it's twice that number. But then when you talk about domestic weddings, they're about half of the cost. I think they have it here. Hold on. Here we go. They actually have it by state, and I'm looking at it right now. Average in New Jersey is $55,000 as of 2023.
Okay.
New York is $49,000. Now, I think they're doing $49,000 for New York because they're accounting for upstate New York.
Yeah.
So they're talking about more of the rural areas of New York. But I could personally tell you, in the tri-state area where we're from, within the 5 boroughs, these numbers are very low, very, very low, because venues in New Jersey, and we're talking about quality venues, well-respected venues, are averaging right now over $250 a plate.
That's right.
For a Saturday night. Okay, over $250. So let's say you have a small wedding, which they won't even allow, because typically, see if you know this answer too, because it's on here as well. What is the average minimum for a wedding? What's the average minimum guest count you must have to secure a date on a Saturday now in New Jersey? Do you know?
120?
Pretty much. It's about 140.
Okay.
It's 140 now. So most venues, unless they're much smaller, require you to pay for a minimum of 140 guests. Okay. So let's just say at $250 a plate, you're doing 140 people. That's already 80% of the budget they're saying at $55,000. So I don't know what they think their other vendors cost, but that can't be the right statistic.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Even if you were to gather all the venues out there and do the median average, that means that you have the high tier guys up here and the low tier people down here. And you're telling me that these low tier people are doing at least 60 to 70% of the weddings? That's not right. That's not right.
No.
It can't be right.
The math is not mathing, as they say on that.
Yeah, math ain't mathin', bro.
No.
Math ain't mathin', bro. So I guess where I'm like, why I'm bringing these statistics up, I guess my question to you is, how do we combat disinformation for couples? Because I think there's so much out there. Fake news, as they say.
Yeah.
How do we combat that?
That's a great question. I mean, I put myself in a position, as we talked about a little bit earlier, there's a certain clientele that we have that they just, I'd rather just work with those couples and clients and families that they don't really have to look at the averages and so on and so forth. They're of a specific and a particular acumen and of a profession, and those numbers, they don't really matter as much. They're just
to them.
To them, it doesn't. Yeah, they know what they're looking for. They know what they want. Money's not at the top of their issue, whatever. And I'm happy to say that I don't have to be too much as a part of that. But a majority of you DJs or entertainers or brides, grooms, couples, family, you do have to think about that. You have to take that into consideration. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to combat that. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah, it's okay, because I think that a lot of people can't answer that, because the disinformation is just like, where are you getting your information from? And
That's
until they start shopping around, that sticker price really hits them, because most couples think that they can get a wedding done in the tri-state area for under $50,000. Now, to some capacity, you can, but if you were going to spend $50,000 to get the bare minimum, I would tell you to don't spend it and find other avenues for you to do a better celebration in a more confined location or a more intimate location, and then spend that money on a house, spend that money on a longer honeymoon, a month honeymoon. Like, there are other experiences that you guys could have. I'm just going to be fully transparent with you. The average ticket for our clients are well over six figures, like well over six-figure weddings. Again, it's not bragging. It's just what you should come to expect, which also comes to my next point, which is the power struggle that I mentioned earlier. And I think that a lot of parents hold a lot of weight in decision making because they're helping more and more and more couples with their decision making. So here's a great question, because you're a parent, and even though you got a long time before your daughters get married.
Long time. My daughter ain't getting married till she's 55.
I will have to say that, as a father of two girls, and I have a son, a newborn son. Well, not a newborn. He's 1 year old. Okay. We have to take into the account that one day we're going to have to pay for weddings. My thing is, if you want control of your wedding, the decision making of your wedding, you don't want to put it in the hands of somebody who's financially responsible for certain things, because now they hold more weight to make those decisions. So to you, if you had to delegate financial responsibilities and decisions to parents, where do you think that they should sit? Like, what elements of the wedding should they help with versus what they shouldn't? Like, should they help pay for venue? Should they help pay for the dress? Should they help pay for entertainment? Where should it be? Why should it be that way? And why should bride and groom prioritize other things for them to pay for? Like, so they can make the decision. I'll leave it there.
The way I was raised and what I've done, my wife and I paid for our own wedding. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't go to our parents necessarily and ask them, we couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Like, just, no, this is your wedding. You're responsible for it. God bless my parents. They're my best friends in the world. My dad was in the post office and my mom was a preschool teacher. So I like to make the joke that we were rolling in dough, right? Hell no.
Money's flowing, baby.
Money's flowing, bro.
Those envelopes coming in.
They just make it rain when I walk into that house, But the truth is, I knew that we were going to have to be financially responsible, and we're going to have to pay for our wedding. We did our wedding here in New York in 2007, and then we did one in Ukraine, 2008. So in my mindset, I know that, we paid for what we wanted, what was going to make us happy, and that was it. So I think the advice, or what to answer your question, if the parents are going to pay for anything, find out what's going to make the kids happy. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Why are we doing the wedding? Why are we doing the celebration? Why are we doing this event? Why can't we just go to City Hall, just sign a little something, and that's it, done? Mm-hmm. Ready to rock. No, we want to have fun. We want to have a great time. We want to eat well. We want to drink well. We want to dance. We want to party, jump, scream, sweat. So if that's the case, it's the kids' wedding. I mean, find out what's going to make them happy, because when they're happy, it just ripple effects to all the other friends,
that's
family.
The investment that you're making.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So my point I'm trying to make is okay, let's just say you already know that your wedding's going to cost $100,000.
Okay.
Rough number. And you have 2 years to plan. So let's just say you and your spouse can guarantee that you could pay for $60,000 and you need $40,000 worth of help. The mistake that most people make is that they say, oh, we'll pay for the venue, you guys pay for the vendors. Should be the opposite. Here's why. Vendors are more personalized to the couple. Uh-huh. Would you agree?
I agree with that.
So we are personalized to the couple who wants to deal with us, right? Parents want entertainment that now if they're paying for the venue and they're inviting their friends or whatnot, if they don't have a say in the entertainment, better off. You're not, I hate to use the power struggle situation in wedding planning, but let's call it what it is. There's always going to be a power struggle in wedding planning. It does not matter who you are. If somebody is putting money up, they're going to fight you for it.
They're going to have a say.
They're going to have a say. So you have to be calculated and very particular of what you want control of. If you're the bride and you want to have a huge veil, but you're not paying for it, and that huge veil you want is out of the budget for the person helping you, tough. You're out of luck.
You're out.
You've sacrificed that offering because you can't pay for it. Tough. So same thing with photography. Same thing with entertainment, flowers, invitations. I know that's ridiculous, but invitations. These are all things that, quite frankly, you have to think of when you're planning for your wedding. So my advice to you is, if you're going to ask for help, make sure you look at each other and you say, okay, we want full control of X, Y, Z, because we are going to enjoy X, Y, and Z more than anything else, okay? If it's the venue you want and it's a lot of money, then you better pay for the venue. If it's the entertainment you want and you don't want anybody jeopardizing that, pay for the entertainment. We, unfortunately, full transparency, have been on the other side of that, where the parents are paying the entertainment and the kids didn't want it. I'm going to use a wedding. You know which one I'm going to. There was some interesting things at this wedding.
I love when we have to think how to how to structure the sentence.
Because we will get in trouble.
Well,
I mean, we're not opposed to getting in trouble. Let's be honest. We've pushed boundaries before. The wedding I'm referring to, the bride was working with an event planner that we work with. I'll call it Louis Avanti. One of our closest friends, one of our mentors. He's amazing. But originally, the parents were paying for the wedding. They were the ones in charge of the wedding. Louis knew that. And Louis, and I believe that Louis and the dad were very close. And the dad had made multiple inquiries about adding band members because that's what they had. That was traditional for them.
yeah,
Bride and groom didn't want a band.
not at all.
At all. They did not want a band.
Not happy.
Also, we jumped at it because our band is exceptional and we are known for hybrid entertainment. So we knew that we could handle this. But I remember when we went to that wedding and I was like, all right, cool. I was in the anticipation that half the crowd was going to be a band crowd. I remember looking at you and so, dude, this is a bar crowd. This is not a band crowd.
Nope.
And I was like, they did not need all this. And I was like, we could rock this, me, you, with our intels and all the other things. And it wasn't even so much like a detriment to the party because the party was fantastic. But you know what they raved about the most, actually?
After party.
The after party.
I knew it.
Yeah. They raved about the after party.
Or
Just
when
me.
or when you went on, that's
just
when
me.
we had a majority of the interaction. We had the majority of the energy. Was when you went on.
Yeah. And I think if you're watching this and you need to send this to somebody, send this to them now. If you know you are a DJ crowd and not a band crowd, you are going to spend significantly more money on live entertainment than you are DJ. It's just notoriously known. There's more elements to it.
More bodies.
There's more bodies. There's more salaries that have to be doled out. There's more time for rehearsals and everything else that is going to be there. So my advice to the parents who are adamant about having a band, if the kids are not into the band, save your money. Save your money.
So then you agree with me. It's like, you know, I guess you know what it is. My nipples are also really cold right now. Can we turn the AC off for just?
It's fine. Turn it off. Turn it off. Oh, this is what happens when you have a Caribbean-based partner, folks. I'm telling you.
I got that hot blood. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. I think I know what you're asking is like, do I agree with you that you should pay for the wedding? Absolutely, you should. If you have the means, if the couple should be responsible for their wedding, they should 100% be responsible for the finances of their wedding.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that is becoming increasingly more difficult. We're also seeing that a lot of our couples are taking more time to plan their wedding. They're taking 2 years in advance, which essentially used to be 13 to 14 months. So now we're seeing an additional 8 months on top of the planning because the finances are so high and they have to save for it.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're in a rush to get married, you're going to have to get somebody to help you. We understand that too. But just be aware of what you're going to sacrifice when you ask for help.
Yeah.
You're sacrificing a lot of power, and that will happen.
Sometimes, by the way, this is another really interesting thing that takes place. Sometimes the parents would go ahead and they would offer to pay for the entertainment, but only up to a certain amount. And we'd have a couple that falls in love with us, for instance, you know, and they're like, no, we saw them at this other wedding. And we're not the cheapest guys. I'm sorry. You know, it's just not what it is, right? This is our profession. This is how we feed our families. This is how we live, which is another, I think, a really good and important topic I think we could probably cover. It's like, you know, your position in this world as an entertainer, you know, it could be more than just a side gig, which is, by the way, another word I wish all of my fellow comrades would stop using this word gig. It's not a gig. It's a wedding.
It's an event.
Okay, yeah. It's a monumental celebration. Anyway, let me not go off too too far.
It's okay.
But they'll go ahead and they'll pay up to a certain amount because they just followed something like Wedding Wire. They're not saying that weddings should only cost this much and vendors should only cost this much. Oh, really? Good luck with that. And so what happens is they would say, no, we want you to, you know, if we're paying for the entertainment, then these are the DJs or the entertainment options that you have. And you know, it's very rare, but sometimes they're like, sorry, I want to go with you guys, but they're paying for it and it's their call. So you're right.
Yeah, that happened to us for a Chicago event. We left that meeting. We were like, they were ready to sign.
Wow,
remember that?
I do remember that.
Me, you, and Doug, we were on the call, and I remember jumping in, and we were all laughing and joking. We gave them the price. They seemed really good about it. And then the next morning, we got that email like, hey guys, you're way over budget.
Way over budget.
Like, we're way over. I think they said we were like 80% over budget.
A lot.
So
yeah.
I was like, we get it.
And it was also my birthday, and I don't work on my birthday or my wife's or my family, my kids' birthdays or anniversaries. So it's like, I can't do anything about the number. Sorry. Yeah. But I'll tell you this, sometimes you'll have those couples who just fight tooth and nail. They're like, no. We want Alive. We want Jon Divine. We want Aldo Ryan. We want Patrick Soldi. We want these guys, and give us the credit, whatever you think weddings should cost, and then we're going to supplement the rest. And let me tell you something. Those are the couples and those are the families I go above and beyond for because they really get it. They understand what we're going to do for them. We care with a capital C, and we're going to give them the wedding that they deserve. We're going to go above and beyond. And how about this? How about like the mother, the parents that thought that you were expensive, and when you finished with that wedding, they came to you and you were able to give them a little wiggle room. They came and they says, well, now we see why you're so much.
Yeah, that was you're talking about Amanda and Mike.
That's it.
Amanda and Mike, 6 weeks prior. So I'll tell the story briefly. 6 weeks prior to their event, their DJ ghosted them, and it was literally Memorial Day weekend. I always confuse that with Labor Day, but it was Memorial Day weekend. She approached me. They were like, listen, we had a budget set for this. We already, everything else is paid off. We really don't have much to work with. They were about $500 below our starting package price. So I negotiated with them in order, like they would pay half of it up top, which they did. So we met in the middle. It was like $2,250. And quite frankly, it was because I had a cancellation the month prior. So instead of me taking another job at that moment, I was like, no, let me just take that one day of Memorial Day weekend off to spend in the pool and hang out. They approached me because a mutual friend of mine who used to DJ called me up. He goes, yo, you available? I said, yeah, but, and he was like, listen, this happened and the guy's ghosting them. They're not getting answers. And I was like, okay, you hit my empathy button. And I'm like, sympathy button. I was like, okay, talk to him. And I remember going into the meeting, I'm like, okay, if they're not in the right mind space of what we're going to do to perform, like if they just don't agree with me, I'm not taking the job. I'm not taking the job if I smell that they're going to be difficult. And it was the polar opposite. Yeah. They were literally my ideal clients.
Oh my God.
I did their wedding and I said it was one of the best weddings, if not the best wedding of 2022. And I'm talking about wedding, okay? I love all of my couples. Every couple has a very specific way they entertain, and their wedding is fantastic.
But we do have a favorite.
This was the wedding that, till this day, highlights with me that it was like no matter what I played, it set them off. It was like I could do no wrong. And maybe that's my favoritism playing, but they were singing, dancing, crowd surfing. They had an outdoor balcony, which usually tells us this is going to be a problem in the summer. They had gambling outside, and nobody went outside. It was an epic wedding.
That is epic. When there's other things to do, but no one used that, so they wasted their money on those things. You played Tarzan, and the whole freaking crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I play that. Yeah. They were literally doing the side to side step. I actually thought that they were like. I literally thought somebody was trying to like get me to tank for a second. I thought they were like, okay, this guy's like, I thought it was another DJ who was like, let's just see this guy fail.
Dude,
I was like,
that's what I thought.
But then the groom asked me to play it. I go, oh, okay. I was like, all right, so you're serious. And I swear it was like, they just side to side. Oh, it was, yeah.
When you do this, like when you edit all this and stuff, can you put in a clip, maybe like a B-roll of them?
Oh yeah, probably. I could probably put it in there. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something really quick. I have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? And so that's why I kind of get involved in virtually everything and anything I can. I stay up latest. I'm the last one to go to bed. Yeah. Well, I got to tell you something. Admittedly and publicly, I am so envious of you doing that wedding that I wasn't there. I am so envious because
I remember calling you the next day. I was like, bro, wait till you see this footage.
And when you call me to tell me that stuff, like when you call me first thing in the morning, by the way, you get up at like crack of freaking dawn, and you tell me, bro, if you start off a text message with bro, that means that he freaking slayed a dragon that was unbeknownst to man.
Happened to me in Texas too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's another thing. I mean, again, these are the weddings that we live for, you know, like weddings where you could just be you and be free.
Okay.
Do your thing. Did I answer your question?
You did. Like you did.
The ADHD.
So
kicking in again.
So as we normally do, or like what I try to do is I talk about, or we go over like funny things or like things we hear about through the grapevine, and not so much videos this time. I'm going to read out some epic wedding fail moments to you. And these are actually the first time I've actually read these. So I don't even know how bad these are, but we're going to listen to them. And what I want to do is give our 2 cents on like how that could have been avoided, how serious that is, or like, you know, what we would do in that situation if we were like present when that happened. Okay.
Deal.
Fair enough. Okay.
Love it.
So let's do. Oh God. Okay. Here we go. This is labeled the bathroom boy. Okay. The bathroom boy. At a family wedding, my cousin and I were in the women's bathroom when an unfamiliar 10-year-old boy ran in. Okay. His mother just laughed as the boy used the bathroom with the door wide open, giving us a full view of everything. She didn't do anything as he ran out of the bathroom without washing his hands. Gross, right? Well, it got worse because 10 minutes later, we witnessed the same boy using his finger to lick frosting off of the not yet cut wedding cake. Needless to say, we did not have cake when it was cut later.
Oh my God. Is that real?
I mean, it's from Ginger Snaps 1092, so have at you with that. What would you do if you saw somebody literally lick the cake after exposing himself there? I have a good story about a wedding cake. I have a good story about a wedding cake.
You do?
Okay.
I want to hear this.
I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm fully guilty of this, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I witnessed it, and I didn't know what to do. Jesus.
Oh boy.
I can't believe I'm telling the story. Okay, so I don't know. This is maybe early 2010s, so like 2012, 2013 maybe. I was doing a party for another company, and we had to, I'm pretty sure, use uplights around the room. The problem with these uplights is that these were not the wireless yet. These weren't the battery operated ones yet. So we had to run extension cables. I had a roadie who took out an extension cable, and he decided to put uplighting around the areas where the cake was. And he set one light behind the sweetheart table, and the cake was usually right next to the sweetheart table, like right behind it, right? So he decided that it would be a smart idea, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he had to move an extension cord to plug the extension cord into the uplight. And what he didn't realize was that he was like too close to the cake with the extension cord, and the extension cord clipped the cake and knocked off a small chunk off the wedding cake. Off the back of the wedding cake. And when I say small chunk, I'm being a little modest. It was about this big.
Okay.
About this big.
Okay.
And I go,
oh. Yeah.
I literally looked at him, I was like,
Can't fix that.
I was like, oh no.
I thought you were going to
And
tell
I'm
me.
like, and then I'm like, but there's the cable there with the cake on it. And I'm like, they're going to fucking know we did it. I was like, they're going to so know we did it. And I was like, I literally had a fight with my morals. I was like, do I say something? Do I tell somebody and apologize up and down? And I was like, nope. I'm just going to clean it up and we're going to hide like we didn't see anything. So we ran to the back, got a towel, wiped the cable, and I was like, just push it up against the wall. Like put it up against the wall. Maybe they'll think the staff did it or whatever. So probably about 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, something like that, I see the bride come in and she's like, oh, the room looks so beautiful. This is so nice. And then I think the ring bearer was like running around the room and he ran towards the cake. And then this when she realized the cake. And all of a sudden she goes, what's wrong with the cake?
Ooh.
Oh, okay, that sucks. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, my heart was in my throat. I was like, she's like, oh, that sucks. And I think she just looked at it like, oh, who cares? Like, nobody's going to see it. I was like,
that's the kind of bride you want, by the way. Oh. Someone who doesn't make a big deal.
dude, I literally was like, I really thought, I was ready to say, I don't know what happened. Oh my God, really? I was like so prepared to act it out. And I was like, oh, thank God she didn't do anything.
I thought you were going to tell me like the extension clipped the freaking table and the freaking cake went down or something.
Well, that I've seen too. I've seen cakes fall, tip over.
Oh man.
I've seen stuff like that.
I've never seen that in 25 years. Holy cow.
I've seen it twice actually. It wasn't necessarily their fault. One time a kid got in the way of them bringing the cake out and the kid like stepped on the drapery of where the rolling table was and it just dragged the cake off and they couldn't catch it.
Oh,
happened. The other one was actually somebody's fault where they didn't grip it right and then it was because it wasn't a moving table, they were literally lifting the 3-layer cake and they were trying to transfer it over and then the guy didn't grip it correctly and the thing like snapped off and the whole thing went down.
Oh,
I was like, oh, terrible. Here's another good one. The forgetful father. As my dad was giving his speech toasting our happiness during the rehearsal dinner, he promptly forgot my husband's name. And after a few stalled attempts, filled it in the blank with to Stephanie and everyone.
Oh, that could hurt.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly the husband didn't make a good impression.
Oh my goodness. Well, was he drinking?
Ah, that's a great idea. Oh my God. So this is bad. So disclaimer, this is going to have to be probably bleeped out. This is called the mic hijacker. The best man at a wedding I was DJing got really drunk, grabbed my microphone, and loudly told the groom, if you can't come in her, at least come on her.
Do you have video?
I don't.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine?
Who does that?
Could you imagine?
No, who does that? You must be, that must have been an edible.
Or just incredibly drunk. But I will. Okay, so folks, that's a good idea. This is why we don't give microphones to anybody.
No.
This is a perfect reason why. Because somebody will say something incredibly inappropriate and they didn't know. Actually, I have another one that is really messed up. I did a wedding. This is before I started working with Alive. I did a wedding in Northern Jersey, and it was a beautiful couple. And this was one of the situations where I did not meet the couple prior. I never met with them. I was just filling in for a DJ, and I got there, and it came down to a kind of like a thank you speech. The bride and groom were thanking everybody. And then here was the problem. A random guest came up after the groom had said his thank yous to everybody and asked the groom if he could say something, and he was already drunk. Now, here's the thing. Normally, you and I know we are like the shield of like, no, we could tell this is a bad idea, but I couldn't get there in time because he immediately approached the groom as soon as he finished the speech, and he asked if he could speak. So the groom just handed them the mic. And then the guy literally said, he goes, everybody, this is so weird because the groom is gay and the bride used to be a man. And I was like, oh my God. I immediately shut the mic off. It was too late. It was too late. This is a true story. And here's the worst part. You could see the groom was livid. And he was like, and then the mic got cut off. I played music and I had to walk over because my MC at the time went rogue and he was nowhere to be found. I had to run up and get the microphone and pull it from the guy. And I was like, but here's the worst part. Then I started thinking, is it true?
That was going to say, but is it true?
I don't know. And I obviously didn't pry to ask.
Well, they say that when you're drunk, like the truth comes out. Is that true?
I guess.
I've never been drunk in my life. True story. But
that was incredibly bad. I was like, dude, even if it is true, now? Like now?
This is the time to do it?
It's ridiculous.
So did you ever resurrect that event? Did you get people going?
The good thing is that, as you know, is because of cake. So typically a lot of the times after cake, a majority of guests start to leave and they were late with the cake cutting stuff. So there was only about 45 minutes left of the party. So to my luck, this wasn't like at the beginning of the event where the guy just got sloshed at cocktail hour and then just decided to go rogue. This actually ended up being at the back end of the party. But still, man, that was like, I couldn't believe that happened. And till this day, that's one of the reasons why I'm scarred. I don't just give anybody the microphone.
Oh, God.
For that specific reason.
Wow.
But I have one last one. This might be, I don't think you could ever come back from this. There's nothing we could do if this ever happens to us. And I'm pretty sure. Okay. It's called the Gob Bluth Groom. I don't know what that means. Gob Bluth Groom or Bluth Groom. I once worked for a servicing company that would get hired by caterers for fancy events / weddings. One time at a wedding reception, the groom, drunk out of his gourd, walked up to the mic and announced to the entire crowd, "I just made a huge mistake." Everyone gasped, and he took off. And I had no idea what to do, so I just continued walking around awkwardly offering people drinks from my tray of champagne flutes.
He dipped.
And he dipped.
Holy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Natalia and I, my wife, we just finished watching The Wedding Singer again.
Oh, great movie.
Great movie, right?
Great movie.
Adam Sandler, props to him. He always finds a way to make me laugh. And if you remember, she didn't show up at the wedding.
Yeah, he's at the altar just waiting as the music's playing. And somebody runs up and says,
Yeah. Oh, that's... How do you recover? How do you fix? You can't fix.
Don't.
You can't fix that.
You don't. It's incredibly damning. I think people forget that this is not only, a party. It's a major commitment. When you get married, you're not just thinking of don't get married to have the next life, tack off the checklist.
Right? I agree.
Don't just do that.
No.
If you're going to get married, you're making a commitment not only to another person, but you're building a life that would be vastly different if you would remain single, date around, or everything else. Matter of fact, a lot of our industry, even though we service the wedding industry, a lot of the guys that we work with are single, sadly divorced, or don't have long-term relationships because the commitment it takes to be with somebody requires more time.
Yeah.
And we don't have that.
No.
We work the polar opposite of what most people work with a 9-to-5 day job, Monday through Friday, or the latter of such. We work Thursday through Sunday.
That's right.
And we work very late hours, and it's very, very taxing on the personal life. So I always tell people that when you're making a commitment to be with somebody like this, be sure it's the right thing for you, for your significant other, and of course, before you make a very expensive decision to marry somebody and have a celebration for that. Clearly, this guy didn't do that. So
Yeah, I'm curious to know what was going on in his head to think that he can go all the way up until the moment of, and decide, nope.
well, this is at the wedding reception, which means he carried out.
That's my point.
Like, it's my point. He got married and goes, I messed up. Like,
Holy cow.
I would have to say the only
That's
thing
worse than not showing up, I think.
I would agree. Yeah, because you just said your vows in front of everybody, and then after maybe a couple hours later, you're like, oh no.
Because the train is in motion. It took off from the station.
Well, I'm going to have to go into the assumption to at least save this dude's reputation, even though I don't know him and he's not named. I would assume that he learned some very disturbing information about his bride during that reception, because there's no other way I can imagine anybody being that drunk just coming out and saying that. Unless they were forced into it, like an arranged marriage or something of that nature. But that is, I don't even know what I would do. I'd probably just pack up and go home. I'd be like, dude, he's out, I'm out. Goodbye.
I'm staying for the cake.
Yeah. Well, you would actually, you're notoriously known for taking extra flowers home, which I love. You're like, oh, don't throw these out. Honey, here. My wife kills flowers.
20 years. Yeah, I gotta bring something home.
I would love to give my wife more flowers, but then literally 3 days later, they're like dead. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to do that to the poor flowers. So I just, honey, I love you, but I'll bring you food. And you'll love that. But again, weddings and what we do, we've seen lots of different stuff. My approach to this podcast was to be as informative and give actionable takes to brides and grooms as much as we can. I think that our knowledge together has given a platform for a lot of weddings to exceed other people's expectations. You and I have heard countlessly how amazing somebody's wedding was, because they've never seen it before. They've never experienced what they experience when we do these events with personalization and everything else we do. But I also have to attribute that to the planning experience that our couples get when they work with us. I think that is an unspoken asset that people don't realize they get until they're experiencing it. So if you guys watch this podcast and you're a bride and groom and you're interested in possibly getting a DJ anywhere around the world, we are available. You can hit us up at Alive Events, ENT, on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me at official Jon Divine, and of course Aldo at official Aldo Ryan.
No.
Oh, and what is it?
Aldo Ryan.
Did I just say at Aldo Ryan?
Official Aldo Ryan.
I'm sorry. I'm at official Jon Divine. He's at Aldo Ryan, because there's nobody else other than Aldo Ryan. I have to prove that I'm the official one. Anything else you want to say or end with, or anything else you want to give to the people watching at home?
Oh my gosh, there's so much, but I think we have other days for other podcasts where we can share a few other things and talk about some ideas, tips, strategies, techniques, and things that help you or help people in the industry, whoever's watching. Like I said, I can go on and on and on, but we're gonna have some little spurts.
Guys, we're Mixed Conversations. We're the Live Events. I'm Jon Divine. That's Aldo Ryan. We will see you guys at the next podcast. Later.
Ciao.